you guys, welcome back. My name's Liz. I'm the owner of eBiz with Liz. Today I wanted to talk about 5 advanced PPC tips. A lot of the times people just throw a bunch of keywords at the wall and see if they'll stick, and they end up wasting a ton of money and never coming up with a real strategy. So today we are going to look at a bunch of metrics and ways to increase your campaign sales and lower your advertising costs. So if you want to learn more, keep on watching. We're going to jump right in. Okay, so tip number 1 is that we need to pay attention to our click-through rate. The first thing that we need to do is we need to find our click-through rate for our current keywords that we are bidding on manually right now. So we need to change a few things in the settings. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to Campaign Manager and then click on your manual campaign. Once you are in your manual campaign, you click Customize Columns, and then it will come up with a huge list of the available metrics that you can have selected or deselected. Select them all right now, you guys. You want to be looking at everything. And this is how you can look at the click-through rate of your current keywords. I want you to go ahead and sort the campaign by sales from highest to lowest. So we want to look at the keyword that is generating the most amount of sales. And you can see there is a strong correlation across the board. So let's go over that. The click-through rate is 12% and the impressions are 231. So that essentially means your sponsored ad for that keyword is getting shown 230 times, and 12% of the time that it is being shown is when a customer is clicking on it. So that is awesome. That's a huge engagement rate. With this specific keyword, I was able to rank on it within a month. It was no big deal because it's not necessarily a very high search volume keyword, but at the end of the day, it generated so many organic sales, and I did not need to leave this on long term. So that is just an example of why sometimes impressions don't matter, search volume doesn't matter. What matters most is your relevancy to the keyword. How relevant is the keyword? How descriptive? And does the description match? Another thing I wanted to point out, as you go down to sales and see 3158 under sales, that has an ACoS of 63% and a very small click-through rate, but a really high amount of impressions. My sponsored ad got shown 1,800 times, and only 2% of customers who saw that clicked on it. Also, what I want to point out with this is that the keyword is loosely relevant. It's not exactly describing the color or, any variation that might differentiate you, which meant that people might have been clicking on it, but it wasn't exactly what they wanted, which is why the ACoS is so high. Very few sales, very high spending in comparison to sales, and click-through rate is very low, and impressions is really high. So again, like I said before, the impressions don't always matter. Sometimes it is relevancy. Okay, so now that I've embedded all of those metrics into your head, I hope you're using them. Tip number 2 is that you should be targeting your competitors, you guys, through keywords. So how I do this is I'll pull my advertising report and I will go over to my sales column and I will sort that from highest to lowest, so the highest sales, and I will skim to see if there are any ASINs that I am generating a lot of sales from. I'll pull up that ASIN, and generally what I find is that I have a competitive advantage over that ASIN, which is generating me sales. Next, you want to put that company's main keywords into your manual campaign. So I would put their company name or anything that kind of pops up in the suggested under the search engine for that company. I would put that into your manual campaign and start bidding on it and see how it goes. I personally know that this works very well, you guys. I had a direct competitor who was about 4 times as expensive as my product, and they were very similar products. So I bid aggressively on their company name to the point where my listing showed up organically on page 1 right next to them, and I would steal a lot of sales from them because my competitive advantage was not only I had better reviews, but my price was a fourth of the price. And after a while of generally stealing a bunch of sales, I was able to raise the price of my product because I know their price is so much higher. A few extra dollars wasn't gonna deter anyone. So that is just another tip. So you should be targeting any direct competitors that you are constantly seeing in your advertising report. Tip number 3 is to make your main image stand out on Amazon. Time and time again, I have clients come to me and say, Liz, you know, my campaigns aren't running that well, my sales are low, and then I will go and look at their listing in comparison to all the other listings, and they just blend in with everyone. And the person that I see time and time again have really high revenue is the person with a unique image. Because when you are scanning through all of the listings on Amazon, your eye is naturally going to be drawn to the one that is different. So this is the most cheap and effective way to increase your sales, is just to go to a photographer and pay $100 to $200 and get your images redone. You guys, it is so much cheaper and it's so effective. You can save hundreds and hundreds of dollars by doing this, and your money will not go down the drain, and I promise it will increase your sales. So if you are not sure how to differentiate your image on Amazon, look to the person with the highest revenue. Just open your market research Chrome extension, look at the person with the highest revenue, and look at their image. I promise it is most likely going to be different than everyone else on that page on Amazon. We talked about it slightly in tip number 1, but tip number 4 is get rid of your irrelevant keywords, you guys. Do not bid on those anymore. The more relevant your keyword is to your product, the higher the sales and the lower the advertising cost. So great factors that make a keyword hyper relevant are adding a descriptive keyword such as the color, the material, the size, anything that will make it more descriptive and closer to what the customer is actually looking for. That is going to suit you better in the long run than the high search volume keywords that are very broad. So make sure that you are using long tail keywords that are hyper relevant to your product. Okay, tip number 5 that I wanted to point out is stop looking at your ACoS and start tracking your keywords. ACoS do not matter at the end of the day if your keyword is generally moving lower and lower and lower and closer to page 1. Because once you are on page 1, your organic sales will skyrocket and it will pay for your advertising costs. I see people turn off keywords when they have a high ACoS. And that is not telling the entire picture. You want to be tracking that keyword because the keyword with the high ACoS could be at the bottom of page 1 and it just takes a few positions to bump up before you are getting organic sales. The tool I like to use to track my keywords is Helium Keyword Tracker. All you have to do is input the keyword that you want to track and your ASIN, and it will track the position and the rank of your product in comparison to that keyword. So it will let you know if your product is moving closer and closer to page 1. And generally, if you have a high ACoS, but your product is moving closer and closer to page 1, once you are, halfway through the top of page 1, your organic sales will skyrocket, and so it will pay for a bunch of that advertising that you spent initially up front, and your advertising will be very low to nothing for that keyword. So your ACoS does not really matter if you are trying to rank on that keyword. So just keep that in mind. Everyone should have a keyword tracker. If you don't have one, you can definitely go try out the Helium 10 one. If you want to try it out for a month, I have a coupon code for 50% off the first month of Helium 10's entire package, and that is eBizWithLiz50, and that would get you 50% off everything. All right, you guys, I hope you found these 5 tips helpful. Definitely go ahead and implement them. They help make your strategy much more narrow and focused. So stay focused, keep reading your metrics, and use a keyword tracker, and I promise everything will start to sort themselves out and you will see a lot of progress being made. If you are still having trouble with your PPC campaign, remember that I do offer services such as PPC management, listing optimization, coaching. So if you need some additional personalized help, definitely contact me at ebizwithliz@gmail.com. I would love to help you guys out. Hit the subscribe button. It would really mean a lot to me. Other than that, it is roasting in this room, so I gotta go. I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.